glimpse of who it is. It is the person who really needs no introduction and is very unlike my usual guests who are all sort of embedded into the automobile industry. I'm Siddharth Vinayak Partnikar. This is Freewheeling, and my guest today is someone with whom I hope to have a very late but still a very fruitful breakfast with a champion. So, with that very cheesy intro, let me tell you who this is for those of you who still haven't guessed. And ta-da, there it is. Hi there, Gaurav. Gaurav Kapur joining me right now.
Hi, Sid. How are you? Here's the coffee, the late breakfast.
All right, so I got my
I also
coffee
hope
mug as
that
well. So, cheers.
you said fruitful, so I just hope that everybody has fruit in their breakfast because your breakfast should be fruitful. So eat healthy, especially in these times.
Yes, absolutely
I was
right.
thinking that I'm so different from your usual guests because I don't even have a driver's license.
Well, but the good thing is that you still like cars.
I love cars.
So we'll forgive
The
you.
thing is that the thing is, I had a driver's license, and then I'm very careless, so I left my wallet on a plane, which had my license in it. So everything else, all my other cards, everything else got remade.
renewed.
The driver's license I have to go and get again, and I've just been a little lazy for the last 11 years.
So basically, you get driven around.
I get driven around, and once in a while I also drive because, hey, I like to live on the edge. No, I'm just kidding. I don't. I do test drives once in a while. And of course, I'm joking about the license. I did get a duplicate license because I do like driving. But I don't like driving so much in Mumbai anymore. I think because A, we have so much traffic, the roads are so tight, and B, parking is such a pain. So I think that's why.
Yeah, that's understandable. I think a lot of people share that with you, and it's the unfortunate side of this burgeoning automobile industry in India, where there's no place left to drive anymore in our cities. But having said that, the reason why I said that you are still a car lover is because obviously we have talked about this many times, and we have also been. I'm going to jump straight into the fact that you have been now shopping for a new car for a few months. You still haven't made up your mind.
Yeah, and just as I was going to make up my mind, this pandemic struck.
Yeah.
And I got saved actually because I was about to do a deal. I was about to sort of choose one of the two, sort of later that week. And then this sort of blew up. And I'm glad I didn't because that would have meant my delivery would have been coming sometime now. And it would have just been lying there for months. Because I don't want to touch that car. Let's disinfect it. 5 people must disinfect it for 5 hours before I touch it.
Yeah, it would have been sad if that had happened.
But do you think prices, the most important question, being an Indian? So after this happens, and after this jhatka that happens to the automobile industry and to all industries and sectors, do you think prices will come down?
I think there'll be some incentivizing. I don't know if prices will come down because for that to happen, we would need the incentivizing to happen from the government end. So far, we're not hearing the word stimulus from the government for any sector. And going by the track record of this government, automobiles would rank very low on the list, even if they were to look at a stimulus package. So, but I think out of sheer desperation, I mean, the unfortunate thing for the auto industry is that over the last few months there has been a horrible slowdown, which is why you have seen good deals in the market for some time now. I think the dealers and the OEMs together will have to come up with a strategy to not only bring people back to showrooms, maybe even virtually, or provide sanitized test drives at their home, but to also then make them actually buy, because people are going to be really worried about spending money, their hard-earned, saved money at this point. So, but yeah, I think as a consumer, you'll likely benefit from this scenario.
Yay! But the thing is, listen, put your money in a car because where else will you put it? Real estate is collapsing.
Has collapsed.
Banks, you don't know whether the bank will be there or not.
Yeah.
You put it in your mattress, the notes get demonetized. Just put it in a car, man.
I'm with you. I'm biased, so car.
You got skin in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people, by the way, who have already started to tune in, and there are a lot of I have to say, in fact, I should not be calling you Gaurav. I should just be calling you GK, because that's what I'm getting. A lot of people saying hi, GK.
Yeah, it's a name that's just sort of stuck. I don't know how it started. I don't know who started calling me that first. I was not called that in school or in college because in school there was another GK. There was a South Indian boy called GK Anand. So his name was actually Anand, but he was called
Called
GK.
GK.
So I was not called that, and this is a recent phenomenon. I think the last 10, maybe 15 years. I think Roshan Abbas may have started calling me GK first and introducing me on gigs and stuff, but then it's just sort of stuck, which is fine because people can't spell GK wrong, whereas people
Or so
spell
you hope.
Kapoor wrong all the time.
Oh yeah, I mean, I know all about wrong spellings of my name. I have become SVP of late, which was also not of my own doing, but it stuck, and so I've started using it too.
But
But
I want to know one thing. Here's my chance to ask you a question.
here we go.
Why do
Oh
you
God.
sign all your tweets as SVP?
Hmm. You're only the 17th million person to ask me this question, so I will answer you. When Twitter first started becoming big, and I started sort of really, I had dived into it headlong. I was enjoying that experience. There should be a lot of this account hacking stuff. So suddenly people were getting tweets like "lose weight now" and sign up for this service, etc. And I was getting a lot of hate on that, obviously, because people are like, "Hey, what are you doing? Why are you sending me this?" So I just started to use my initials to say, know this one came from me, and that's all. And those
Yeah.
initials were just my initials. It wasn't like me trying to give myself a name. It was just a way to say, okay, there was no, we didn't have verified accounts back then. We didn't have any of that, and so it just stuck. And then people started calling me that. When the first time somebody called me that to my face, I was like, oh, that's bad. And then I was like, it's too late. This ship has sailed. So
It's very close to MVP, man. So it's good. It's
it's
good.
also senior vice president, which is very confusing for a lot of people.
Oh, yeah, of course.
They're like, we
I
don't
don't
want
think
to know your
at all, right?
designation. What is your name? We do not want to know your designation. So, which I wish it was that, but it's not even that. So, Um, yeah, I've got a question from Divya Jyoti saying, who is interviewing whom?
Yeah, we don't know, man. This is why we call it a chat show. It's just two people chatting.
It is a chat show.
When
That's
you,
true.
yeah, and when you chat, you ask a question, somebody else asks a question. You got to be curious about the other human being.
Okay, I of course forgot to put my headphones on. So, guys, if you're hearing an echo, especially on Gaurav's voice, please tell me on GK's voice, because then I put my headphones on. They're here somewhere. So, yeah. That said, again, a lot of people still saying hello. The questions are going to start coming, but before they do, I want to ask you one straight away. I said cars, 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 and not bikes yet. So you're not a bike person, but you've said you have a bike story. So that's
I
all
have
I
a
know.
couple of bike
So
stories. I was obsessed with motorcycles when I was a kid. I learned how to ride a bike at the age of 12. I stole a friend's motorcycle. By stole, I mean, somebody in the colony had got his cousin's bike. He was going rides, and all the other friends were taking rides. And I said, oh, I want to ride it too. And he just said, do you know how to ride one? And I said, yes, which has basically been my philosophy in life to everything. When people ask me, when I want to do something, I just say yes, and then I figure it out. I did not figure it out. I rode it for a while, but I also dropped it, which resulted in it going to the mechanic and it costing 50 rupees, which, as you can imagine, 2.5 decades ago was a princely sum. Luckily, my birthday was in a few days, so I could ask my parents and say, can you please give me some money? I have to buy all the colony guys cold drinks and samosas. And even then, 50 rupees was 50 rupees? How many people are you taking out?
yeah.
100? So I got that money and then I got that bike fixed and I said, I'm not going to touch one till I am big enough to actually balance it. And then when I turned 17, I remember I was a radio jockey. And the only reason I became a radio jockey with Times FM was so that I could save money to buy myself a motorcycle, which at that time, my ambitions were not lofty. It was a Yamaha RX 100
Yeah.
or a KB 100, Kawasaki Bajaj 100. That was my aspiration, right? Doesn't get more middle class Punjabi than that. It's like
And
I
this is
wanted to
Delhi,
get on
right?
one.
You're in Delhi.
I was in Delhi, yeah.
Yeah.
So I really wanted a motorcycle. And what happened is that I went to do my first radio show, and it was a 15-minute show live, and they paid me 250 rupees. So automatically I did the math. I came back, I told my buddy, I was like, dude, so if I do a 1 hour show, that's $1,000. A bike's 28 or 30,000 rupees. 30 of these shows,
And I'm set.
if I can also do two in a month, by my 18th birthday, I can buy myself a motorcycle. That month, I got to do 5 or 6 1 hour shows. So excited. At the end of the month, I asked the producer, he says, yeah, just make me a bill for 6 into 400 rupees, because that's what we pay for a 1 hour show. So what I thought would have been, so obviously doesn't become into 4 just because the duration changes. The rate was 400 rupees for an hour. And so where I was thinking I'll get 8,000, I got 3,200. And by the time I saved enough money for a bike, my mother let me just use her Maruti 800 to go to college. So my bike just
that was
never
the
came.
end of that. I actually remember that, by the way, Times FM. And what many people don't know is that I very nearly started doing the same. I had the option to do that or a job in publishing, to get some experience writing. And then, I'd made the little tape, the demo tape, gone to the Times office, submitted it. And eventually I was not able to do that also because they wanted me to come in at night and do some late night hour. And I always regret that.
You were a little baby or what?
Sorry?
What was the problem? Why couldn't you do the late night hour? You were a little baby.
No, because I also had to take up this other job and I was still in college, etc., etc. So it was.
I used to love the late night shows. I love them.
That was one of my biggest regrets that I never ended up doing it. Because you have to audition, then you have to send the tape, and the guy was just like not interested. I can't remember his name. He was totally not interested, but then he was like, okay, very grudgingly, he had said, okay, come in and do a test. And then he said, yeah, okay, you can do this. And I was like...
Was this the late 90s? Late 90s?
Yeah, late 90s. This was 97, 98. 98.
So 97, I can tell you exactly who it must have been. It was probably my dear friend Gopesh Singh, who used to take care of all the auditions. And even when I sent him a tape to audition, his default setting was, we don't need anybody.
Oh, yeah. Then that's the guy.
That was his way of testing your resolve. I was saying that if I create a wall, you jump over the wall. So, there you go.
And so I still didn't do it, which is stupid, right? Like I should have done it because the one thing everybody acknowledged was that I could talk. I don't know if I could talk well, but I could talk. So,
but you couldn't cross the wall.
No, I chose not to, which was stupid. Now you're telling me this. Like the guy even offered me the jam job and I still said, yeah, no. So, like I said, regret. Okay, a lot of people say, by the way, a lot of people saying that they love your voice. There's Ankit who says he loves your voice. And
thank you.
A lot of people talking about IPL, of course, straight away. And I knew we'll get to that at some point. But before we get to that, can I go back to your car shopping thing? Because can I let everybody in on what you were looking at?
Yes.
So first, let me see if I can quickly pull up a picture of your current car, which you have shared with me. So if I'm doing this right. Yes, we can see it now on the screen. So I know, GK, you can't see it, but everybody else can. And so tell us about this. It's a special car for you.
No, really. It's just a heap. It's a junk. I hope you blurred out the number plate.
So let me now get back away from that because no, obviously did not think of that. Yeah, of course. You're just going to get stopped.
It doesn't matter because anyway on Breakfast with Champions we've shown the number plate. No, or did you blur it? I don't know. I think there's a law.
It's too late now. It's in the public domain.
It's in the public domain now. Well, I mean, I do drive the car in the public domain, so it's not like I wish I had a personal test track though. By the way, I've driven a car on a test track, the Mercedes B-Class when it launched, which was basically just a shopping cart with doors. I drove that car on a test track, and I pumped 200 on it. And trust me, I have not felt that unstable even when I was trying to take my first steps as an 11th or 12-month-old. Right? I felt it was just going to fly off. Such an unstable car. But this one is far more stable. This is a C200. This came out, I think, about 5 years ago, and that's when I got it.
Yeah.
I've been looking at sort of changing this and upgrading this car for a while, and that's when I've been asking you. And I wanted to get the GLE when they were going to bring it out last summer, and then they kept pushing it, and they kept pushing it, and they kept pushing it, and then it finally came out, and I test drove it last month with the long wheelbase. And then I test drove the X5 because you said the X5 is very good, and you were there at the launch. And I just, I don't know, I thought both were decent. I like both.
We're seeing shots of the GLE on the screen now, just FYI.
So the funny thing is that, SUVs by nature obviously are a little more sparse on the inside. I like the inside to be slightly more catered out and have more sort of gadgets and gizmos on the inside. So I kind of, so I do want the SUV because I want to sit higher in Mumbai traffic, but at the same time, the inside is a little sparse. So I've been having a bit of a moral dilemma of whether to get it or whether to not get it. So, but I think it's going to be either one of them, either the X5 or the GLE. Whoever gives me a better deal. Well,
In a post-apocalyptic world, is that what you just said?
yes.
Okay. Well, now we've got the X5 on the screen, and both cars, incidentally, are nice. They're both dark blue. The better deal is something that, yeah, I think a lot of people will be shopping for, and you're not wrong on that front at all.
Which one I really like, and I wish it was not priced the way, because all these imported cars in India are just, the beauty on it is kind of criminal, right?
It is.
And the Lamborghini Urus is just beautiful. In terms of so that car, I love that car. The Range Rover, obviously, everybody loves. I think everybody loves it. Is there anybody who doesn't like a Range Rover?
The guys at BMW.
I think even they secretly like Range Rovers.
Well, at one time they liked it so much they had acquired Land Rover, right? So then they sold it to Ford. So
there you go.
No, but I mean, of course, who doesn't like it? But it's too Bollywood right now, isn't it? That car, or have you now become Bollywood?
I mean, come on, I live here.
Yeah, but you can still be a Delhiite.
It's
also very Punjabi, so
I've acted in 10 flop films. Come on, I am more Bollywood than anybody else.
No, but again, the Range Rover is hugely popular in Delhi for its status symbol, sort of.
Is it? Is it anymore though?
No, they always move on to the next one. The Urus is way out of reach for most people, so people will get the Range Rover Sport and then tell everybody that they got the Range Rover.
Yeah, that's right. They just drop the word sport, right? So that you can essentially double your net worth.
And people look out and say, okay. Not everybody is that tuned to it. So they'll be like, yeah.
Right. Most people probably would not from the front gate be able to tell the difference between a Sport and a Vogue.
That's also Land Rover's doing, right? And trying to create a ubiquitous look for their cars. See, now I am doing the actual breakfast.
I like the word ubiquitous. Ubiquitous. It is what I used to say to young ladies in college.
I was about to say.
Ubiquitous.
I was about to say this is going to be a word that's going to go into that #MeToo set, which you can't say.
No, it's going to go into the lexicon of show-offs. If you will show off, then you must use words like this.
Well, we have a certain Delhi politician who likes to use big words, so.
Are you talking about young Shashi Tharoor?
Yeah, I am talking about.
When he was, I met him in an IPL game many years ago, and he was there, and I said, and this was pre the entire scandal and everything. So I have to give you that disclaimer for my question. So my question to him was, he was there with, in the box, and I said, hey, so are you involved with the cricket in any way? And later turned out that he was, but he at that time just said that, no, I am but a cricket nut. I just thought that was so awesome. Like, I know like 3 people in the world who can pull off that line, right? I thought it was amazing. I am but a cricket nut. So yes, I think I'm going to add that to my Twitter bio now. I am but a cricket nut. I think it's amazing.
A ubiquitous cricket nut.
A ubiquitous cricket nut.
let me embellish it.
Shall I conquer?
Okay.
So,
yes. No. So forget the Urus because you're not buying that. Forget the Range Rover. But it'll come down to these two, right? And does family have any sway on this, or is it going to be like your decision?
The missus got into the GLE and said, this has lesser kit inside it than my mom's new Kia Seltos.
So, yeah, well.
And suddenly you go, but this is 6 times the price. And that sort of just broke me a little bit. And then the X5 came for a test drive. And she sat in the back seat and she said, you're 6'2", you're not going to fit in this back seat. It's like, what? Really? How can that be? And it was true. I couldn't fit in the back seat. So I think I'll probably just buy like an Innova. It's just the best.
Well, I mean,
I got to tell you, as an Innova in Delhi,
Yeah.
and it is my car of choice. If I have to, even if I'm traveling, and when you're traveling and you're going for whatever shoots and appearances, and they try to bring out sort of red carpet, and they bring out the nice cars and stuff. I will actually ask for an Innova.
Yeah.
I'll say
I do
get
that.
the split seat one. The split
Captain
seat
seat.
Innova
Yeah.
is the most comfortable backseat ride in the business.
Oh yeah. No. And now of course Toyota has this fancy new MPV called the Wellfire. So
Fire.
maybe that is the one you should be test driving next. The Wellfire.
Actually, yeah, I saw the Wellfire. That's also though for a van. That's also close to a crore or something, right? On road in Mumbai.
Well, less than that, but it's not. It's not. Hang on now.
Yeah, it's like
Come on, guys.
80,
Somebody
89
give me the
or something.
exact ex-showroom price in Mumbai now, because I don't have the Mumbai. We'll get you that
And
before we
that's-
end this chat.
Yeah, that's
One of
just
our
weird.
guys from the
That's
team will do it.
for a van.
No, you're talking about the V-Class from Mercedes. That's the one that is.
No, that's the Wellfire. Wellfire is a van as well.
Wellfire is a van, but the price tag that you mentioned is the Mercedes V-Class. So
Also, the Wellfire is lesser.
yeah, the Wellfire is lesser. Hang on, I will. Now you're compelling me to go look for it. So I will
Come
let
on, do it. Give us some
No,
information.
but in the meanwhile, there are a lot of people who are asking you questions about IPL. And there's Gautam who has just reminded me of my April Fool prank last year, where I had said, "That's it, I'm done. I'm joining the IPL, and you are taking over my job." So he
That's
says
right.
he would love to see us both on IPL. You want to comment
But
on that while I find your
I would like to
information?
do I want to do a car show. I want to do one like Top Gear, which basically just rubbishes every car. Right? My favorite, what they've done on Top Gear. I don't know if anybody out there is a Top. I'm sure people are Top Gear fans.
Oh yeah.
When Clarkson, May, and Hammond were doing it, obviously. Just go on YouTube and watch a video which is Clarkson reviewing the X6 when it came out, brand new.
I've seen that.
He hated X6. He
But
hated it.
he's also known for his love for BMWs.
Yeah. See, he could. They went to 6 countries to trash that car.
Yeah, and that's, by the way, my benchmark video. So
It's amazing.
I mean, just the fact that you could go do one line in like Sydney or whatever. I remember that video because of that. So
Correct.
it was
And when
phenomenal.
he went to the Caribbean, they went to the Caribbean. I think the Antigua, someone just take one shot of him on a water ski, on a jet ski. I said, wow, that's a budget. But that's still not my favorite Top Gear video. My favorite Top Gear video, if you want to see a reference video of how crazy imagination can be. The old Mini Cooper racing a new Mini Cooper,
Yeah.
the 1 kilometer drag race. But the new Mini Cooper is going 1 kilometer in a desert. The old Mini Cooper is being dropped from a helicopter 1 kilometer in the sky. And that's the race. And I'm just thinking, I want to be in that. So, we produce shows as well. I want to be in that production room where somebody comes up with that. And the head of production just goes, yeah, we can make that happen. That's it. Just outlandish. Like you want to be in a room like Saturday Night Live or Top Gear or Grand Tour, where you just think of the most outlandish things and they can happen.
You're basically talking about my dream, my fantasy of being
There you
able
go.
to. I mean, you can imagine, right? Every time, and by the way, I shouldn't say it because it sounds presumptuous, but every time somebody tells me, "Oh, you're like, your show's been on for so long, it's like the Top Gear of India," and I'm like, it's not. We don't even have 1/200th of their budget.
That's true. I think they were a £500,000 budget per week.
The highest budget for any BBC or automotive programming in the world ever.
Yeah.
So
That was-
the Grand Tour has topped that now, I'm told. So,
Yeah, Grand Tour, of course, is much bigger.
Yeah.
But at the end of the 3rd season, they said that they're cutting the show, and my heart was broken. So I don't know now. I've read no other news. Was it a prank? What are they doing? Why are they disbanding? It's like the Beatles breaking up.
Well, now with in the post-corona world, we'll have to wait and see if there are budgets for stuff like this. But I think it'll come back. It's just it did really well. So 79 lakhs, by the way, for the Wellfire. 79.
Told you.
Yeah. And the suggestion for you is to buy the Kia Carnival.
The Kia Carnival. Okay. That's their Innova comparator. That's the
Then they
Innova
have the
competitor.
top-end variant called the limousine. So the limo version is like really swanky. You should probably check it out. You mentioned your wife saying something about the Seltos, her mom's car, and I said something which you didn't react to. But now I think for a second reason I will say, do you want the guys at Kia to call you?
Yeah. No,
They may be watching,
it would be nice. It would be nice if they had called me before my mother-in-law had bought the car, because that would have got me some brownie points. But now it is
No,
too
well, I
late.
mean, they could throw in like some free services and give us some
Kia,
accessories.
Kia, phone क्यों नहीं किया?
There you go.
But listen, now I've decided there's no need to buy a car, because after this lockdown, I realized that I don't really need to leave the house.
You can get
I
everything done.
don't. What? Why leave the house?
Or a lot of
Now
it
my
done.
team at Oak Tree has figured out how we can shoot shows at home.
Yeah.
We're doing one right now.
Yeah.
Everybody else is tuning in anyway. Why leave the house? There's no need to.
But tell me this: the whole isolation Premier League, the idea of
Yes.
course is self-explanatory. What's the experience been like? And especially because you had set a certain benchmark and a certain understanding, even with the cricketers, when it came to Breakfast with Champions. The huge success that you've had with that. Was that transition easy enough to do? You think?
So here was our thing. So there was a lot of just a few days after the lockdown happened. There was a lot of people who were doing Instagram lives, right? So everybody was doing that, and they were doing chat shows on Instagram live and stuff. We said, let's try to make a show if we can. We said, let's, when we do a live, you can't put any graphics, you can't edit, you can't do the kind of stuff that we enjoy doing. So, and not everyone is savvy on camera. You don't want sort of slow bits at all in today's day and age. So that's why we tried to figure out a way to do this. So I threw the challenge to the team, and they came up with it. And luckily, what had happened is that we at Oak Tree had called to work from home a good week before the lockdown happened. So that gave our team enough time to sort of take their machines home, take their laptops home, and set up from home. And sorry, and we in-house have. We have editors, we have VFX, we have music. Everything is in-house for us, and that's why when everyone could set up at home. Once they figured out how we could shoot, so when we shoot, we do it on Zoom. The guest is here, I am there, and we have our producer, we have our director. Somebody else is recording. Then the file gets sent to our editor. Then the editor sends it to the VFX. The VFX sends it to the music. The music checks it for sound and sends it to our marketing for upload. So there's an entire sort of ecosystem that comes together. So there were two reasons for that. One is we wanted to make a produced show under the constraints. And two, we have a team. And we have a team who I know at this point in time, there's no revenues, there's no business happening. But we also want the team to be doing some work, because I think that mental health is very important at this time. And people can sort of lose their balance a bit if they're just sitting at home and doing nothing. So this was also a way to sort of increase productivity for them. So it doesn't matter if there's no revenue happening. We're growing our audience base. We're connecting with them. We're promoting more content. But it's also giving our entire team some purpose for at least 3 or 4 hours a day, and not sort of sitting and pulling their hair out. Because as you know, Mumbai space is tight. In Delhi, people still maybe live in a condo complex or a building. You can perhaps step out, you have a balcony. Those are luxuries in Bombay. Yeah. So, we just thought that instead of them chopping each other's heads off, a little bit of work to do. So it was a combination of all these things. And we literally, from the time we discussed it on a call with the entire team, we put out the first episode within 72 hours.
Wow. I mean, I can relate to some of this. So,
sorry?
I can relate to some of this because, except for the fact that we don't have as many people. Unfortunately, no VFX team. I would love to send my episodes to. But yeah, I mean, the same thing, everybody's sort of sending stuff from one point to another. And then thanks to connectivity, and that's the only thing that's keeping us going. We are the only ones actually, I'm told, who are producing a feature show right now on our network, on the NDTV network, because, most other shows have gone into reruns, etc. But we are still being able to put out a fresh show every week. And then, of course, doing this one. This is a new chat show idea that came up as well. And I was initially told I was crazy, but we've had people like you who've cooperated, so thank you for being here.
It's the crazy ones who run the world.
I like to believe that. On that note, for the people who are tuning in as well, I know I've ignored some of your questions, so I'm going to quickly go through those. And in the meanwhile, remember that we started a contest for you guys as well. So quick look at what that contest is all about. So I promise I'll get your questions right after that.
Log on to carandbike.com/freewheeling and answer a simple question. 3 lucky winners win a 2-night 3-day stay at any domestic Club Mahindra resort. Not just that, at the end of the month, all correct entries are eligible for the grand prize of an all-expense paid 3-night 4-day trip to Dubai or Singapore. So, keep freewheeling. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, so that then is the contest, and you know that you have to simply just log on to our website. That's carandbike.com/freewheeling. The first question of the 3 that I will ask today is, what is the record achieved by the Audi RS Q8? Option 1, it is the world's most powerful SUV. Option 2, it is the fastest production SUV. And option 3, it's the smallest Audi SUV. So these are your 3 options. What is the record achieved by the Audi RS Q8? It is the world's most powerful SUV, it's the fastest production SUV, and it is the smallest Audi SUV. You've got to go onto that website there, carandbike.com/freewheeling, put in your details, put in your answer, and remember, I'll ask 3 questions, so hang around for the next few questions to come up as well. And yes, now as promised, some of your questions for Gaurav. The first one is one that requests, it's more of a request, Gaurav, than a question. Ankit is asking, would love to see Mahi on Isolation Premier League. When are you interviewing him?
Never.
You want to expand on that?
He doesn't come on shows. That's why.
Yes, I can vouch for that too.
Yeah, he doesn't come on shows. He never even came on the IPL post show. So he never did. He only does the post-match presentation because he's the captain. But otherwise, he doesn't do any extras at all, even for the broadcasters. So forget anybody else.
Okay. Well, it's unfortunate because a lot of people would love to see him, I know. There is...
That's why I'm a premium product behind the paywall.
Okay, we've got a question from Spandan saying, how about doing a car show together? Are you game?
I'm game. Can we do it from home, though?
Virtual driving? I mean... You know, like a video game, just...
I've got an idea. So you go just like this, and you're just showing me insides of the car, and I'm going, that's rubbish. There's not enough leg room. It's too slow. There's no gizmos. Well, these buttons seem cheap.
The balcony is no good.
I'll do it from home, yeah. I'll do it from home.
Yeah.
And the Q8, for example, I was so shocked. The Q8 is so tiny. Yeah. What's up with it, man?
Well, your assumption was that if you have the Q7, then the Q8 should be bigger, right? That was, I think, what a lot of people thought.
Well, yeah. Wider, longer, something. And some dimension it should be bigger.
No, it's just, it's the coupe version. So it's a sportier, tighter, compact version. On that note, yesterday, a lot of rumors coming out about an BMW X8, which is going to be like the X7 with the sloping roof. Can you imagine a massive Hulk like that? Bigger than the X6. Clarkson would have fun with that.
That's huge.
To begin
with.
Hey,
listen, I don't mind. I'll be honest with you. I quite like the X6 shape. I think the X6 had a great shape. I feel like the GLE as well. What is it? The GL43? GLE 63, sorry,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Their coupe.
It's the coupe
which again, I think is, which I think is still, it's a CBU. So that's why it's again supremely expensive. But I think those are sharp-looking cars. I know that they don't have much sort of headroom in the back row, obviously because of the sloping roof. But they do look quite sharp.
The suggestion for you, by the way, is also the Carnival suggestion I told you earlier. Sachin has a suggestion saying Audi Q7. Have you thought about that?
You got to listen to a Sachin, right? In India, for Sachin speaking. Yeah, I did. I liked the older Q7 shape a little more. I think they just stacked this one down a little bit. It just, it was slightly more butch. The stance was a little more butch, the previous one.
Yeah.
This one just sat down a little bit. So it's not in terms of the shape, I still think the GLE still has the shape that I like the most.
Yeah. So I mean, I feel like you're sold on that one. So
I think so that, and honestly, I do. I think the Sport, for me, the shape I like the Sport more than the Vogue. I feel like the Vogue or the range in itself seems it's too boxy. Yeah, it's too big, and especially I live in Bandra, right? I live in Pali Hill. You've seen the lanes over here. Said you've been here. You've seen the lanes. It's impossible to drive something so big over there. It's just impossible.
So, speaking of that, I mean, going back to your Delhi roots, there's a question from Shams who says, should I call the Delhiwala GK1 or GK2? And any car launches that you remember that you've been a part of? You have done some, right? You've done some MC work.
I have. I've been part of a few car launches. I got to tell you though. Oh, it takes me back a bit. So recently there's been with Mercedes. I was doing that for a year, so I was involved in Mercedes.
I remember the B-class, the films, the B-class films. You, Kalki, a bunch of people, right?
There was me, there was Kalki, there was another personality. Can't remember. So there was a few of us at that point in time. Then there was the Datsun Go launch I was involved with. Sorry?
With Roshan. I think
no, that was Toyota. I'll tell you that in a second. Because that takes me back to sort of the beginning of my career, Auto Expo, and how all our initial first gigs were always with the Auto Expo. But then I also did a really interesting bit with Nissan when they were launching the Kicks. It was supposed to do with the ICC World Cup. So I was involved with them. We did something pretty fun in Calcutta. But in the car launches, Toyota Qualis. If you remember the Qualis.
Of course.
Not for the right reasons, I'm sure. Nobody remembers the Qualis for the right reasons. I remember it for the worst reasons because I had a very bad car crash in it, which was not the car's fault, but it tumbled down a hill. We were shooting a film. Forget about it, long story. But the Toyota Qualis was being launched. This was, I think, year 2000 or something like that.
2000.
And Roshan's company, and I just started my career at the time, and I just started with Channel V. I was in Mumbai, and Roshan had called me down, and we were doing this launch. So it's hilarious because Roshan had created this skit, which was a boy called Qualis, who grows up, and there was a song and dance, and there was this dance troupe, and it was amazing. Like and it was great because I remember Miss Malini was involved in the dance troupe. I think Nimrit Kaur was in the dance troupe. Sameer Kocher was in the dance troupe.
Wow.
And I was just one batch ahead of them, so I just come on the channel. So I was the narrator, so I would come and say, Qualis was a little boy. And, we do this whole dramatization 6 times a day in Auto Expo. And I still remember the Japanese, and I realized why the Japanese are so successful. I remember the shows were timed at 9:12 and 9 and 10:22 or something, right? So I remember one particular morning, and there used to be business hours. At 9:12, we look out, there's no one in the store. By no one, I mean 0 people, because no one's come in, right?
Yeah.
And we asked the Japanese guys, and we're Indian, right? They're like, if doing a show, we'll do it when people come. So he's like, no. 9:12 means 9:12. He's like, but there's nobody there. So it doesn't matter. He's like, so his entire production with 40 people on stage has happened with 0 people in the audience. It's the weirdest experience of my life because you're going, and then there's no one there. Imaginary friends, you're delusional. So then, thankfully, what happened is all the dancers, when they would finish their bit, they would just come and sit in the front and they'd go, yeah. So it was just the weirdest. So we just wasted all this effort. But it also made me realize why the Japanese are so successful because, pointy at.
but I must tell you that one of my earliest or first jobs was also with Roshan. He used to host this show called MasterCard Family Fortunes, which was the Indian version of Family Feud. And
did you do the voiceover?
I did. I used to be like, you have just won a mixer grinder from so-and-so. That was me.
So you did the second season because I did the first season.
And I was the assistant producer on it too. So I was just like...
So I season. Ladies and gentlemen, here's your host, Roshan.
Yeah. That was me.
And the Khanna family. And now the Duggal family.
Correct. Oh boy, I didn't know this about you. Because...
This is crazy. I did the first season, and then I moved to Bombay after that, and we used to shoot this in Delhi. So you did the second season.
I did second and third and fourth, yeah. And it was a wild ride. Roshan was great fun to work with. And it was a fun show. I mean, it was entertaining to shoot.
I have to tell you what he did to me.
What did he do?
So I was his junior in radio. He had directed me on a play, so he was always sort of my mentor. Roshan Abbas was my mentor, and it's amazing how life comes a full circle because today I am his mentor. But anyway, he calls me on set in a break. We're standing. I walk up to him on set, and he's like, puts his arm around me. He's saying, "Maza aa raha hai? This is the first time I've been on a set." And I'm like, "It's amazing. It's great." He says, he looks at me. He goes, "Tera bhi time aayega." I've never let him forget it. It's one of those, it's one of those when the grandfather stands and says,
I can hear him. Yeah, I can hear him saying it.
ये ज़मीन है, ये हवेली, एक दिन ये सब तुम्हारी होगी.
I can totally hear him saying this. And in that, he had that way of saying it.
Yeah. It's a very feudal sort of grandfatherly way of telling you.
Absolutely. Okay, before I get carried away in our conversation, I have to do question 2 of the contest because I've just been reminded that I have to. And so the second question for you guys, and remember that the way for you to do this is to go on to that URL that's on your screens. And guess what it's about? The Toyota Wellfire MPV is also sold under what other name globally? Okay, the Toyota Wellfire in India is sold in other markets under what other name? Option 1, Alphard. Option 2, El Grand. Option 3, Odyssey. So, Wellfire sold by what other name in other markets? Alphard, El Grand, Odyssey. Okay, so simple enough. And that's the second of today's contest questions. Remember, you got prizes that you can win. And so, you've got to log on for that. Okay, back to you then, GK. And I have a few questions that I want to sort of run at you in a slightly rapid fire fashion, if I may. So, but before doing that, actually, your favorite episode of Breakfast with Champions to shoot and the way it turned out, like maybe those are two different ones.
Oh, geez, wow, that's a hard question. And I should have an answer for this because a lot of people have asked me this. It's very difficult to choose though because
it's like choosing between your children. Right?
It's like choosing between your children, right? I mean, it's really hard. I've enjoyed all of them. I think the shooting-wise, I really enjoyed the Dada episode, the Saurav Ganguly episode. I think the reason is that because we shot it in London. So, I love that. Yeah. And the episode that turned out great, I think, was the Ashish Mehra episode. I was just very happy because he's... Yes, he's been a friend of mine for, 20 years. And we all knew, the entire friends group, we all knew how funny he was. And the world did not. Because on field, he's serious, he's committed, he's very dedicated, everything else is blanked out. So people thought that was him as a person. Whereas he as a person is irreverent, he's nuts, he has zero F's to give. So he's just that kind of person. So I was very excited to shoot that show. And when we shot it, we came back and we gave it to our editors. And I said, I don't know how you will make an episode out of this. Because I've asked him question 1. Like if I asked him one question, he's answered 6 others. And then the conversation was on here and there and there. But I think full credit to our team of editors, to Aditya and Meera, who carved that episode out of that. It's really funny.
No, but you know what? I was going to actually, you reminded me of that one because I was going to say my favorite episode so far has been the Rohit Sharma one because of how there's like his wife / agent / director of the show / so many things that are happening in the background.
Supervising a...
Yeah. So for me, maybe because I'm a TV person, I found that really entertaining. But you're right. I think the Ashish Mehra episode is probably the nicest one because your rapport really shows.
Yeah, and Rohit, of course, I enjoyed really shooting because I'm so fond of both of them, of Rohit and Ritika. They are beautiful people. They are all heart. And their relationship, I've also seen blossom over the years. And the thing is, I've actually known Ritika since she was a baby because her parents and my older sister and brother-in-law are neighbors. So I've known Ritika from the time she was like 12 or 13. She was like my brother-in-law's best friend's kid. So I've seen her since then. And then when she started dating Rohit and when she started dating him, I remember there was, all the friends of the family were like, is he a good boy? Punjabis, everybody wants to know from everyone. nobody's going to trust the people in the relationship. Let's ask outside people.
Of course.
So I was asked, and I said, no, it's a really good boy, and so it's great to see, and they have an adorable child now. So that was really, that to be able to show that dynamic was also quite interesting, and I thank them for sort of letting us do that.
I actually loved it. I loved the way it flowed as well. And now this adds to the reason why, I guess, the fact that you knew her from before and that comfort level is what probably allowed that to happen. Because we as viewers don't always know all this, right? And it just seems to fit really well. So I love that.
There's one very important thing that we do there is, I think after doing cricket for 10 years, there's a certain level of trust that I have personally earned with everyone in the fraternity, whether it's broadcasters, commentators, players, everyone in the ecosystem. And for my team and for when we shoot, we've always maintained that trust, which by association then comes to Oak Tree, that's sacrosanct. So we have to treat that. So we'll never be sensational. We'll never try to use clickbaity headlines or do trailers which misinterpret something. So I usually censor the episodes a lot harsher than even the players would, right? So they've said it. They're okay with everything they've said. They've never said, don't put this bit, don't put that bit. But I myself will sometimes sit in and edit and say, this part could be misinterpreted by the news media perhaps, or this could be misinterpreted by somebody in searching for a headline. So let's cut this portion out. So I think that allows them to then sort of just open up a little more.
Okay, a related question has come from Sahil, who says, when is Breakfast with Champions coming back? I think I know the answer.
What is the answer?
When the lockdown lifts.
It's true, when we are allowed to travel. So we had sort of closed the deal and got everything in place early March to shoot late March and then release sort of mid-April and then through the summer. But of course, all of that has come to a standstill. So let's just hope and pray that we can be rid of this pandemic soon enough, and then we can sort of get back to doing what we really like. That one I'm willing to leave the house for.
Yeah, I can see why also. But do you miss the IPL? Do you miss doing that?
It's crazy actually. Nobody asked me that question. That's funny. And I don't know. I mean, I've also done it like 12 seasons now. So obviously we were looking forward to it, and I quite enjoy the drill. I love watching the cricket. I love my studio days, with all my friends. But I don't know. I'm the kind of person I don't really think of what is not. I just like to make the best of what there is. So that's what I'm doing. I'm sort of sharpening my cooking skills, doing a lot of household chores. Getting into a routine, sort of exercising, trying to do some work, trying to keep our team motivated. So, that's what I'm doing. So I'm not thinking of things that I'm missing. Like this morning, one of my friends said that I'm really missing sushi and Japanese food. I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I've not thought of it in the last 21 days.
Yeah.
And I've not thought of it. But, so that's my attitude in life always. But yes, I know people are really missing the IPL. I don't know if it will happen this year or not. Let's hope that we can get out of this. Honestly, I don't see any live sport happening for the next 6 months at least. I don't see how it can.
Or it should. Maybe it should not happen also.
Yeah, but some of the craziest ideas are coming out of America. It's brilliant. The Major League Baseball said that, I think they said that why don't we take all the players onto an island? Yeah. We'll just be there. I think the NBA said let's just put all the teams on a cruise ship and sail the seas to complete the league. It's crazy. What?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Next we'll have virtual players playing the IPL or any other league for that matter.
You got the Isolation Premier League for those who are missing the IPL.
So, by the way, there's another request for you to bring Ashish Nehra back to do another show.
Yeah. The thing is, Ashish and I have spoken about this a lot. Now, what happens is that even with Breakfast with Champions, we still see an amazing uptick of views on the Ashish episode. And both of us have always said, if you do another one, it's got to be better than the first.
Yeah.
Right? And it's one of those tricky things. Well, like there's bound to be comparison because he by far, while we've had Virat and Sachin and Saurav and Rohit and all the legends and champions, his episode, Ashish's episode, has been the most talked about, right?
Yeah.
It was the biggest breakout hit.
Yeah.
So now, it's almost like when you say like Andaz Apna Apna is a cult hit, do you make a part 2, right? Do you do a remake or do you just let that be? So we've spoken about it a lot. We've not reached a conclusion. He'll probably do an episode of Isolation Premier League because that's a different format altogether. But with Breakfast with Champions, I don't know if we'll ever get him back again. It's a very difficult act to repeat, even for him.
They'll probably make another Andaz Apna Apna before that happens, I think. There is some talk about that.
I hope not. They've been talking about it for years.
Yeah.
I think few days ago, the energy in the world right now is quite heavy. So one of the things I do is every now and then, I'll just take a classic film, probably watch half an hour, 45 minutes of it. So Chukke Chukke, Golmaal, Andaz Apna Apna, Jaani Bhai Yaro, some of these classic comedies, and I'll watch them. And still watching it, it's still good. It's still amazing.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, time for that rapid fire before I forget. Okay, so you ready? First answer that comes to your mind. Okay.
Yeah.
Favorite car? Favorite car?
Maserati.
Okay. Do you have a favorite bike or a brand?
Yamaha RX100.
Your first car. Your first car, not your mom's.
Zen LX.
What color was it?
Blue.
Okay.
Cars have always got to be blue, man. For me, cars have to be blue.
I saw that with the C-Class picture as well.
It's got to be blue, man.
And so just as well, when you go back and you watch
That's
this...
my car, by the way. I want to tell you, money where my mouth is. That's a white car. There was no navy blue at the time. I got it repainted for 1,25,000 extra.
What are you saying? Because they did have a blue later, I know.
It came out later. So this was the first batch almost.
That's
they didn't
terrible.
have navy blue. They said, we'll give you white, you pay 1,00,000 extra, we'll paint it navy blue in the factory and register it as a navy blue. So I did.
Wow. So when you go back and you watch this, by the way, the GLE and the X5 were both blue as well. So you can be happy about that. Nice comparison for you. Okay. Your college or university that you graduated from?
Venkateshwara College, Delhi University,
Venki.
Economics Honours.
Good old Venki. Okay. What was your first job?
My first job was selling air conditioners. It was a summer job. I had to man the phones for my cousin's Voltas dealership.
Wow.
I got no money in return. In return, my bua used to send packed lunch from home, which used to be delicious.
So you didn't get an AC out of it?
No.
I had to ask.
AC?
Back then it was a
My
luxury.
cousin didn't give me 100 rupees. You think he'll give me an AC?
Okay, fine.
He's like, get job experience.
I'm sure that was more valuable.
First paying job was Times FM. I was a radio jockey.
Okay. Okay, well, this is a good one actually. Who do you turn to for advice?
Roshan Abbas, actually. Roshan is one person. There is Sundar Raman, who was the erstwhile CEO of the IPL, knows the media really well. But mostly just to my own alter egos. We have a group discussion inside my head and we get the answer.
Best answer, I'm sure. You can't blame anyone else also then. Yeah. Favorite driving destination or holiday destination?
Anywhere in California.
Okay.
We've driven in California, driven to Yosemite, drove from San Francisco to Yosemite National Park and then back to LA. The roads in California are amazing, and California in general is just the most beautiful place on the planet. It's amazing.
So just before the lockdown happened, or before the pandemic happened, in early February, I had the chance to do a road trip with my cousins. So we drove from San Francisco to Death Valley, the long route and back. And it
Amazing, right?
Oh, I mean, I loved it. Totally loved it.
And one more would be in the UK up to Scotland and the Highlands.
Which I still haven't done. So it's on my
Beautiful.
list. It's on my list.
Beautiful.
Favorite food and something that you cooked during the lockdown. They may not be the same.
Let me tell you, yesterday I did a chili garlic ravas. Chili
sounds
garlic
nice.
pan-fried ravas.
Okay. Sounds really good. So
And I did a Greek salad with it. which I added pear to. So it was a pear. It wasn't really Greek salad. It was my own interpretation. It was a pear, irregular, lettuce, feta, olive salad.
So clearly, ingredients are not a problem for you in this lockdown.
It's lettuce. Lettuce to mil jata hai.
Pear,
I mean, if I
arugula.
yeah, pear, fruit, yeah, fruit. The fruit shop is 50 meters down the road, right? Pali Market. So I got pear. Feta comes out of a box, which has been lying in the fridge for 3 months. Olives come out of a jar, which have been in the fridge for 3 months. You know, pre-lockdown, pre-apocalypse. Balsamic vinegar also comes out. So a lot of these things actually come out of a bottle.
No, of course. But good for you. A food or drink that you're craving, that you want to have once the lockdown lifts?
Sake.
So not sushi, but sake, huh?
Sushi and sake.
Sushi and sake, okay, fine. And a person you are dying to meet that you haven't been able to?
Jennifer Lopez.
No, this is to do with the lockdown. Someone you would otherwise have met. This is not a fantasy question.
Don't be presumptuous, Sid. Of course I meet her. Okay, I'm going to be sending you a picture. Honestly, this has just come out as a joke. But I did meet JLo in the year 2001, where we had gone from Channel V I'd been sent to Hong Kong to interview her for something. It was press junkets, and I'd gone to interview her. So yeah, I do have a picture from there.
And then you technically can then meet her again. So yeah, okay, fine. You get that one. Good for you.
Yeah, okay. But seriously, my mom and dad and my little nephew, my 4-year-old nephew.
That's good.
We're all in Delhi.
Okay, so if you're in Delhi, then we have to meet as well. So whenever that happens. So the last question then, your biggest moment so far in your career? So far being the operative words, because I'm sure there'll be bigger ones still.
Oh, Jesus. That's a tough question.
I'm making you think today. This was supposed to be rapid fire.
It's the most happy moment in my career.
Okay.
I can tell you that. One of those pinch myself kind of moment. On my birthday, about 5 or 6 years ago, on Extra Innings on IPL, I had as the two panelists, as the two guests for the whole day, and it was a weekend, so it was a double header. So that's 9 hours of television. I had with me Sunil Gavaskar and Kapil Dev, both my boyhood heroes, with me together, live on air, on my birthday, with the entire cricket fraternity sort of wishing me happy birthday via satellite or sending messages or from the ground, etc. And them sitting there with me, and pretty much the whole country watching. So yeah, that was one of those pinch myself kind of moments saying, did I die and go to heaven? Like, what? How have I lucked out this much? So very humbling sort of gratitude to the universe kind of moment that was.
The fact that it was your birthday, I mean, that is crazy, right? That all of that came together. That is amazing.
Yes, yeah. It was just amazing.
I mean,
Kapil Paji, after about 10 minutes into the show says, अच्छा अब सिर्फ हैप्पी बर्थडे ही बोलेंगे तुम्हें कि कुछ अभी हम मैच की बात भी करेंगे मैंने कहा जी बाकी मैच की बात भी करेंगे.
I must tell you that, you know, having had my previous life as a news anchor, I got my fair share of celebrities to interview. Sometimes the ones I didn't want to interview also had to go and interview, or, you know, have in the studio. And my interest, you know, everybody would be like, oh, you met so-and-so. Oh, you know, can you ask them this? Can you get me an autograph? And I'm like, yeah, whatever. So people were like, you know, this is the wrong attitude. You should be a little bit more excited. You don't have to be starstruck. But I couldn't be bothered. And then I just had this, like, there were two people who I wanted to just meet. If I get to interview them, it was like died and gone to heaven. One was Michael Schumacher, and the second was Sachin Tendulkar. These were my sort of boyhood heroes. You know, I really wanted to just meet them. When I got the chance to interview both of them, once that had happened, I was like, yeah, that's it. I can retire now. I'm done.
I'm done.
And the fact that, you know...
Stick report on me because I'm done.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you know, the EMIs didn't allow for that. But I can totally understand where you're coming from. So, yeah. Okay, last quick thing. The third question of the contest, and then we will wrap this up before we, you know, keep on talking, because I think the two of us can keep on talking, I believe. So we shouldn't, you know, stretch this beyond a point. So putting out the third question, and it is, What Mercedes AMG models did we bring you exclusive reviews of this year? All right, so this is about car and bike, but the question's about Mercedes AMG. What AMG models did we bring exclusive reviews of for you this year? One, the A45S and the GT63S 4MATIC Plus. Wow, that's a mouthful. Option 2, the GT53 and the G63 4MATIC Plus. I'm just making this confusing for you. And option 3, the GLE63S 4MATIC Plus and the GLC43. Okay, so I'm not even going to repeat that because it is quite a mouthful, and you will get that question again when you go up to that URL. So that's our third question. The first one was about Audi, the second one was about Toyota, the third one about Mercedes-Benz, and you can answer these questions and win those prizes. Of course, remember that the prizes, you can only avail of them, of course, once the lockdown has lifted and things are back to normal, because that's in your own interest as well. So, okay, so you got to do that. Okay, back to you, Gaurav. As we wrap this up, there are many people who are, still asking you things like, what's your favorite quarantine food? Do you have one? Maggie?
My go-to quarantine food is pasta.
Okay.
I just chop up onion, tomato, chili, garlic, just toss it all in, get some sausages perhaps, toss it in, some pasta, and we're done. Quick and easy.
I have Partha saying the heartening thing is that even SVP gets bothered by EMI. I think everybody does.
Of course.
I know?
Of course.
Yeah.
They're three dangerous letters, man.
3 dangerous letters. Well, for some people, there are others which are, the right kind of dangerous, like AMG, for example.
Good dangerous.
Good dangerous, yes. Okay.
These days, there's also others like dangerous, like WHO.
Yes, there is that. But, the great thing about the news cycle right now is that while on the one hand, you can keep, you overloading on everything and getting completely panicked and freaked out by what you're hearing, the fake news and the real news, because even the real news feels like fake news. But there's such a tremendous amount of entertainment that's coming out of it, thanks to people like the WHO, the American president, and the American president talking about WHO.
Correct. Yeah. No, it's a valid point. There's something we were having a town hall the other day with the entire team Oaktree, and one thing I told them, I said, please limit or ration your consumption of social media and of news. And at least don't do it in the morning when you wake up for an hour and before you sleep for an hour, because there's a lot that's happening. And it is happening. What can you do? You can take a lot of precautions and make sure that you're clear yourself and not putting yourself or people around you at risk. And after that, really, there's nothing else that you can do besides get paranoid by looking at all the numbers again and again. So don't obsess. So I think it's also very important at this point in time for people who are artists and people who are entertainers to step up and just bring this universal energy, this heavy energy, to bring some lightness to it. So I think that's a service that all artists and entertainers and performers must do at this point in time.
Well, it's certainly something that you have done, because I think with your formats, they always aim to entertain, and they always, of course, are extremely rich on information as well. So I think the fact that you've also turned it into an opportunity with Isolation Premier League, hats off to you and your team. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you very much. Thank you for saying that.
And thank you also for the time today. I think I've had a great time. I don't know anybody else. I don't know about you, but
as long as we've had a great time, that's all that matters. And also, I think I was happy to do this because you did say that you're going to get me a Porsche at the end of the lockdown. So how could I say no?
It's already standing outside your house.
Is it?
Sanitized
as long as it's not the Makan, because the Makan is a very small Makan. हमको बड़ा मकान चाहिए. हम 6.5 फुट का है. हमको बड़ा मकान चाहिए.
Well, I was going to say it's 1:18, like one of these. Yeah. Okay.
I am Master Gogo. आया हूँ तो कुछ लेके जाऊँगा.
So there, I have one up there. Maybe that has your name on it. Let's
That's
see.
it. Send it across.
Sending it across once the lockdown lifts. Okay. We'll wrap it up, because otherwise we'll carry on like this. Like I said, thank you again. And keep bringing us great content, because that's we love what you do.
Thank you very much, and I will be reaching out to you to figure out which car I can get right after this is done. And of course, as usual, it'll be you saying something nice about a car and me bitching it out. I love those conversations. They're great.
Which is why it's fun for me too, actually, I have to say. And of course, hope to see you when you're in Delhi next too.
Absolutely, for sure. Thanks so much for having me. Thank you.
No, it's great to see you, and please stay safe. Take care of yourself and the family.
You too. Take care. Bye.
Bye. So that then was GK, or Gaurav Kapur, who always aims to entertain and does that with such flair and such ease, so much panache, and has been an extremely, extremely delightful guest to have today on Freewheeling. A little bit of an aberration from our usual automotive CEOs, but the idea was to also bring you views from a wide cross-section of people, and which is why, for those of you who are still with me, I can tease for you the fact that I have two interesting guests lined up. One of them, purely automotive. The man who heads the business for Skoda Auto in India, Zach Hollis, will be with me on the show day after tomorrow. And the day after that, the first day of the weekend, on Saturday, I'll be joined by my old friend and auto enthusiast and actor, Gulpanag. So that's again something for you guys to look forward to. I know many of you have asked certain questions about what happens when the lockdown lifts. So I'm going to quickly answer two of those because, I couldn't be talking about that with Gaurav. So Akash says, can we expect a drop in car sale prices after the lockdown? And when will the City 2020 be launched? Good questions both. And we talked about that briefly even with Gaurav. Yes, Akash, there will probably be some kind of incentivizing. So maybe some kind of discounts or some freebies being thrown in. I'm not sure sticker prices will actually come down. As far as the City is concerned, the car was ready for launch, as you know. And so, getting that production going should not be difficult for Honda at this stage. The only question is, what kind of a lift on the lockdown will we see? If it's going to be partial, there's no point having people produce cars and then them not going into the network because certain areas remain red zones or whatever. So we'll have to see. And I think till the 3rd of May, nobody's taking any calls on any of that. So, we'll have to wait and see. Then Vishwas also asked about, is there a possibility of GST being revised post this pandemic period? That is a hope, and maybe I'm biased because of the fact that I track the auto sector, Vishwas, but going by the government's track record, it's not going to be high on the agenda. I don't think the auto industry is necessarily going to ask for that either. Right now, the bigger worry for some of the players is how to interpret the Supreme Court guideline on dissolving the remaining BS4 stock. So that, if there is some sort of a caveat that they are able to explore, because when they say 10 days you have to be able to sell this off, is it 10 days when your lockdown lifts or the lockdown lifts in your consumers' area? So we'll have to wait and see on all of those things. But no, I don't. Therefore, I'll be very happy if there's a cut in GST, but I don't think we will actually see a cut in GST. So we'll have to wait and see on that as well. And I have more questions I know that are coming. But what will be the move from BS4 to BS6, says Nikhil. And yeah, that's what I was just talking about too. And, how to maintain the cars during the lockdown is a question from CK. And you actually will see a lot of that content on carandbike.com. We've been doing some of those stories. And maybe one of these days we'll do a live session with the other carandbike team members, and we can go through some of those tips. So if you like that idea, please tweet it to me, and please let me know, because there you go, that's my Twitter handle. And if you like the idea of us doing a little discussion live like this with you guys joining in on how to maintain your vehicles during this lockdown, please, like I said, go ahead and send me a tweet, and I'll be happy to try and take that up. For now, it's goodbye. Remember, I'll be back with Zach Hollis on Friday and Gulpanag on Saturday. Please stay safe. Please keep your families safe. Hold them close, and don't step out unless you absolutely have to. And if you have to, please wear your seatbelts. Bye-bye, and thank you so much for watching.